What's up, Zach here, and today I've got the Xtep JLIN5, and thanks to Famuji Sneaker for sending me a pair of these to check out. They actually sent me these probably a little over a month ago. I will leave a link in the description if you want to check these out there. I have been checking the website periodically as well as some other websites to see if they're still shipping to the community that's in the United States. I know this is a worldwide community. Those of you in the US, it does say they have suspended taking orders from the US. They expect it to be back in May, and I've heard that from some other people as well. I'm told May 10th is when things are gonna start getting real weird in the US in terms of getting shipments, especially soft good things. I have no idea what's going down. I mean, you know, I've heard from people that it's going to be all the way from either you just won't be able to get shoes in the United States that you want, you're just not going to get shipments, they're just not going to be able to get them, all the way up to you're going to see like exorbitant price hikes. So I know the CEO of Adidas talked about this too. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, especially for people like me, you know, in the soft goods space, what's going to happen? So we'll keep our eyes out. So anyway, getting into these ones. Interestingly enough, the uppers on these are the parts that I like and that I hate the most, all at the same time. The thing I guess we'll start with what I hate. The tongue is actually very, very thin. It breathes incredibly well. Look at the breathability mapping on that fog machine. You'll see fog is just blowing out of this thing like crazy from the forefoot into the tongue. It's awesome. Look at the breathability test with the heat map. They only heated up 87.1 degrees. So that was also fantastic. The entire shoe lightened up. I mean, they exchange heat really well. The thing that you pay for though is the containment. This upper material, even though it is 2 layers, there is a ton of weaving everywhere, and that's awesome. I could just feel my foot pushing through the uppers of these shoes. I mean, you know, usually like I'll feel it right when I'm doing that little test, like that containment test I do and that grip test that I do. I kind of where I just kind of take those hop steps in and try to make the shoe go. And on these ones, even though it's got this giant TPU bar, that bar is really flexible. So I think having that TPU bar is absolutely mandatory in the uppers, or they just would be unplayable. But even with it, especially if you're a heavier player or just have heavier foot strikes, you really put a lot of weight on that lateral side. You have more of that Luka type step back. Yeah, you're gonna be pushing through this upper and you're gonna feel that push. The thing that I love though about them is going into the rear foot, you have 2 layers of padding right on your Achilles tendon, and it's actually a little bit more of a grippy material in the back there. You do have a gusseted tongue, which is great. The padding as you go into the collar isn't as much as into the heel counter, but if you don't have orthotics in these, heel slippage is absolutely none. And the uppers don't feel super heavy either, so you're getting a nice lockdown, but you're not feeling the weight of them either. I mean, the shoe itself, I know it comes in at 14.45 ounces for an 11, so it's not the lightest shoe on planet Earth, but it feels very light, which is interesting. Thing is, if you have an orthotic in them, the heel slippage does go to mild, but it's still not bad whatsoever. It does not have a runner's knot. You can always plug one in there. But overall, it is kind of a tale of 2 uppers. Look at these things on the upper durability test, 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper. Yeah, burr basically just really scuffs up the drag guard, does not get into the woven layer though. You got a lot of outsole rubber that comes up over there. So like I said, you also do have an external heel counter. That is just foam though. That does not add anything to the actual stability of the shoe. And honestly, the heel counter itself, it goes up really high, but it's a little bit thinner. So I think it's a flexible upward shoe. Put it that way. If you like that, that's great. And the uppers, they feel good. They feel very flowing, very buttery. They break in really nice. You'll just have to, you know, are you okay with those containment side to side things? You know, we'll talk about more in the fit section, kind of where I think these belong. But yeah, I think overall they do a nice job. They also do have this little lace loop in the forefoot, kind of a slip knot here. So you do get, like I said, I think they recognize the containment because they got all these things right in the forefoot that are looking to address it. So yeah, I mean, it's got to like that profile, but if you do, yeah, they're going to feel nice. All right, but getting into what's actually the best part of this shoe is the midsole. Now on the teardown, it's weird. There's just this giant dead space in the middle of it. It looks like there was going to be an insert there, but there's not. It also just might be a weight reduction technique. I'm not sure, just something to not have your foot feel the carbon fiber shank. That carbon fiber shank is bottom loaded as well as molded, which is absolutely fantastic. It does go into the forefoot. It goes deep enough into the forefoot, I'll call that crossing a zone. They say it's a super critical eTPU and EVA plus recycled TPU. When I looked at it, it only looks like one insert. Maybe there's a little bit of a carrier on the outside. I could always cut through it and see, but you know, on the periphery, it looks like the same material. What I'm guessing is it's a blend of foam, and then it's injected with gas to make it super critical, but it is bouncy feeling. Oh my God, underfoot. This stuff just feels like a moon boot. Look at it on the bounce height test, 46 centimeters in the rear foot, 45 in the forefoot plus molded carbon fiber shank. These things are just crazy with bounce. Look at the diving board effect on these things. It takes about 72 Newtons to get it up to 45 degrees, which is really, I mean, it's more than a lot of other carbon fiber plated shoes. Interestingly enough, the LeBron 21s are very similar in terms of how many Newtons it takes to get to 45 degrees, but it also doesn't have the bounce height test measurements that these do. So, I mean, just an incredibly bouncy shoe, incredibly fast shoe going north to south. These things pick up speed so easily. That's the best thing about these. First step, launch, bounce. They just feel awesome. These are like a shin splint sufferer's dream. Just not if you're trying to, you know, make a hard cut. But getting into the outsole tread, this is really, really tight. Basically checker pattern in the lateral forefoot, and then it does have like kind of 4 radial patterns at most, like your strike points, your pivot points, and then it's more of kind of a razor going into, it's kind of herringbone, a little more of a razor pattern, then it goes more into checks in the midfoot. I mean, it's kind of all over the place. Like I said, it doesn't really matter, and as long as it's multi-directional. They slip on the grip test ramp at 37 degrees, but the static grip and dynamic grip are kind of different. I did not have any slippage on these whatsoever. And that was really how I could tell the containment issues, because the shoes were stopping, even when I did not think they were going to stop. And like I said, it's getting into summertime, so I'm lifting the bay door here and dust is getting in here. And even though they did pick up, let's say, a moderate amount of dust, still did not have any problems with grip. If you look at these on the outsole durability test, 10 second Tice Grit sandpaper, and that durometer is only 14.5, and you know, didn't even get a millimeter of damage on this. So yeah, I mean, it is thin, narrow tread. So I mean, I still probably wouldn't be taking them outdoors, best in a clean indoor court, I would say. But man, these things are grippy for sure. Look at them on the speed ratio too, coming at 3.15, shank score of 0.2, bumps up to a 3.35. And yeah, if these shoes don't deserve above a 3 on that speed ratio, then nobody does. Once again, one of the faster shoes out there. I think these are up there with Leaning, Gamma, Ultralight, the 361, what is it, Team Joker, all those just super fast shoes. This definitely belongs in that conversation. All right, but getting into the fit, here we go. These things have a 16-degree in flare. Yeah, that's up there. The funny thing is I didn't have a lot of problems with it because, like I said, the uppers are so accommodating. You can just push through them. And I think if the inflare wasn't as much, maybe the containment the issues wouldn't be there. I mean, yeah, I mean, the uppers, like I said, they're lighter, but I still think maybe a little bit more of a straighter lasted shoe may have not, you just wouldn't be put in that position to be pushing through with your 5th metatarsal head. Looking at resting position, 0 degrees, and you do go to 4 degrees with loading, so a little bit on that higher end. Not terrible though, not as much as I thought they would be, but yeah, a little bit on that higher end. So the shoe is flexible, put it that way. It's just a flexible shoe, but not terrible by any means. Now, in terms of length, they're just a hair short at 28.6 centimeters. I mean, not bad. Heel width, as well as narrowest midfoot measurement, comes in at 6.7 centimeters, and a metatarsal width of 9.5 centimeters, toe box width 10.5 centimeters, and the toe box taper a little bit more mellow at 26 degrees. I would say a narrow and medium foot, I would want to be going down a half size on them just for the containment, trying to get these more one-to-one. And if you're getting them true to size, I'd probably be doing either some soccer pads, foam bars, guardrail pads, things like that. If you want to know what I'm talking about, that is all in my shoe customization ebook that is coming out. You can get I'll leave a link in the description below. But tongue padding or medial lateral rail padding on these will really, really help. I think containment webbing will really help with containment on these. A 2E and 4E, I'd probably be trying to go true to size on these, just to get one-to-one with the shoe, right? And so that you don't have a lot of room for the shoe to bend around. In terms of people I'd be recommending these for, in terms of snake bitten foot, the flange is wide. It is super wide. I love that. Like I said, they are very flexible. And so do I love them for ankle sprainers? No. Do I think they're the worst shoe out there? No. But I just think that shin splints, heel pain, ball of foot pain, people wanting north to south speed, people that are just like practicing jumping, right? You're just, you know, if you're trying to improve your vertical, then these are great. People that are, you're doing more conditioning drills, right? And you kind of want to save your feet, maybe just get a little bit of a leg up on some other people to make yourself look better in front of other people. They're great. But I think it's keeping things north to south. But I think it's keeping things north to south. I would be afraid if I stepped on somebody's foot on these and kind of had a weird twist. Even like I said, even with the carbon fiber shank, in the forefoot, they are just a little bit twisty. So they have their uses. And I think for what they are good for, they are one of the best in the world at, best on the market at. It's just, you gotta want them for the right use cases, be the right player. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Yeah, for what they are, they're fantastic, but make sure you understand, you know, what they are, put it that way. So like I said, love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you do want to see like what I'm talking about with that new LeBron 21, the Prime 96 colorway, and what's new with that new updated colorway, I'll leave that video linked right here, and make sure you subscribe down below. Respect your urban foam. I'll see you somewhere in the Sneakerverse.